I will mention that the objections that Attorney Lodge mentioned are on the sustainablemedinacounty.org site. I'm going to be reading a summary report from Wilma Subra, who Attorney Lodge mentioned. I'll mention a few notes from her and then I'll say a few words. She's been granted the MacArthur Fellowship Award in 2003, which is a very prestigious award, and also the Louisiana Environmental Action Network Defender of the Environment Award in 2006, and the Global Exchange Domestic Human Rights Award in 2011. So what Ms. Subra says is that air emissions from the units associated with the compressor station will have a negative effect on the health of those living, working, or spending time in the area of the compressor station. She's an expert on compressor stations. The gas releases from periodic maintenances and routine operations and picking out operations will result in the highest air emissions of very toxic chemicals, and she does list the chemicals. Her report's pretty long, so I'll be turning it in here. In addition to air emissions listed above, she mentions emergency generator will have how many VOCs it will have. So there will be up to 260 startup events and 260 shutdown events each year in association with the turbine, with the compressor turbine. These startup and shutdown events will occur 71% of the days in each year. The air emissions from these events will result in degrade of the quality of the air and result in negative health impacts as a result of inhalation of the toxic chemicals released into the air. Gas releases will be caused by periodic maintenance, routine operations, startup and shutdown events, and picking activities, and will result in evacuation of gases from the turbine equipment and piping components directly into the atmosphere. The pathways of human exposure of air emissions from the compressor stations consist of inhalation, ingestion, and dermal absorption. The air emissions from the various units associated with the compressor stations, associated with the Nexus pipeline and the Wadsworth compressor station in particular, as well as the venting of gases from the periodic maintenances, routine operations, equipment leaks, and startup and shutdown activities and pigging operations, will have the potential to negatively impact the health of individuals living, working, and recreating within 2 to 5 miles of compressor stations. I'll read you one other. So she noted that 90% of individuals surveyed reported experiencing odor and other events from compressor stations. So she ends her summary. She had mentioned several chemicals, which I won't list here, but the above listed chemicals and associated health impacts have the potential to negatively impact the health of citizens living within 5 miles of the proposed Wadsworth compressor station. The area of impact includes over half the city of Wadsworth, as well as a number of additional communities. The prevailing wind direction in the area of the proposed Wadsworth compressor station indicates that the city of Wadsworth is downwind of the proposed compressor station. Siting a compressor station in an area that would negatively impact the health of a number of communities, as well as more than half of the city of Wadsworth, is inappropriate and should be used as a reason to deny the air permit being proposed for the Wadsworth compressor station. So that is the end of her report, which I'll be turning in. And I just want to say one other thing. I'm here. Mr. Settles had asked last week why Sustainable Medina County was against the pipeline. Did we want it rerouted, or we just didn't want it here and the compressor station? And I said, we don't want it here because we are not living here to provide a benefit to the Texas industry that will be making money while they destroy our lives and our community. And that's our right to fight back, and we're going to do it when we implement the new county charter with the Bill of Rights that we hope many of you here tonight will sign up as a volunteer to help you circulate petitions so we can get it on the ballot in November. And one of the clauses in it says we have the right to have no compressor station, no pipelines, no toxic industries in our community. And this will help us protect ourselves, our families, and our future generations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul Sherlock, and I'm here to not so much testify at this hearing for the EPA, but to talk to the audience. I want to speak about what a sham this hearing is. We heard tonight that as long as the company is in compliance with the emissions, that the EPA is going to issue a permit. It is a sham that it is a sham that this that we are here talking about eminent domain, or it's a sham that we are here talking simply about the air emissions and not about the pipeline going through people's land. We're not talking about the public safety aspect of this, and we're not talking about the groundwater emissions or groundwater pollution. This is a divide and conquer type of proposition. So the EPA is going to issue their permit, and we have to go fight the public safety aspect in another hearing. We have to go fight the eminent domain of running pipelines through people's land with FERC and other organizations. This is a sham because we are talking about eminent domain with the idea that this pipeline is here to serve the public interest, when it is demonstrated that this pipeline is simply for the profits of the company that is building it. We know that this gas is not here to serve this community. It's not even here, being piped through here to serve the United States. This pipeline is going to be serving other corporations' interests. So the idea that we're going to allow the use of eminent domain to take away our property rights, our rights to peaceful enjoyment of our property, it's absolutely absurd. And I want to also emphasize, from the public safety standpoint, these pipelines explode. And if you don't believe me, just go online, go to Popular Resistance magazine, and see about how these pipelines explode and they affect communities. I want to read something here that comes from the Columbus Dispatch, and it's dated January 26, 2014. State agency fast tracks permits for fracking, raising concerns. The Ohio EPA puts permits for shale gas operations on fast track, raising concerns about long-term impact. The shale gas company wanted a pollution permit in less than 4 months. To help it meet that goal, Ohio Environmental Protection Agency officials had to do 2 things: avoid a public hearing and make sure the feds didn't get involved. After NiSource officials applied for a permit last February, they told the Ohio EPA that they needed it by June 1st. They got the permit on June 5th. Then Ohio EPA Director Scott Nally lauded his staff for quickly approving that permit and at least 6 others last year. Demands for a public hearing in Mahoning County were rejected by officials who feared it would slow down the permit process. Residents asked to review a draft of the permit and requested a public hearing to discuss it. They included a petition with 51 signatures. But the EPA seemed more concerned about NiSource's timetable. We are going to need a better understanding concerning the problems it will cause the company if we hold a public hearing. Ohio EPA's Hopkins emailed his staff on May 13th. Can you guys find out what the company's schedule is and what problems will be caused by the additional time a hearing will take? The Ohio EPA is not here on our side. I encourage all of you to get involved, to talk to Kathy Jones about being part of forming a county charter amendment that will prevent pipelines from coming through this territory. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening to the people who are left. I want to tell you first, I'm from Broadview Heights, Ohio, and I've seen firsthand that the EPA only comes out to our community. We have 90 oil and gas wells in a residential community. They've only come out when we've had an accident or a spill and we called them. So just a little bit of background there. Also, they're not really being honest with you tonight, but I'm going to be. The rules that they keep talking about, the rules that they have to follow, right? That the compressor station company, Spectra, Nexus, whoever, those rules, guess who writes those rules?
That's right.
The industry writes those rules. The EPA invites them to help them write those rules. And guess what? When that permit is issued, the permit makes the harm they're doing to you legal in court. So good luck trying to fight it because they got the permit. That makes it legal. The lady who was here before and she's left, she asked, what happens to her and her horses when she's outside and this thing vents? You know what the answer to that is? But you didn't get it. Oh well. Your collateral damage. Your collateral damage to the company's profits. And the other thing is everyone talks about these limits. How much arsenic and formaldehyde and methane or whatever it is, how much are you willing to breathe in your air? Who sets those limits? Who says what's acceptable?
Tons.
Tons, sorry, you're right. Someone else sets those. So I just want you to be, I know a lot of you probably came here tonight thinking, oh my gosh, this is really great. The EPA is holding this hearing. They want to hear our comments. I got to tell you, your comments don't mean much, okay? The industry's profits is what's important here. And I just have a few headlines I'll just read for you, just to give you a little more idea about how the EPA and who they really work for. EPA's abandoned Wyoming fracking study is one retreat of many. That was an article in ProPublica July 3rd, and that was talking about Pavilion, Wyoming. There was another one, EPA reports Ohio River again tops the list for industrial pollution. That was in USA Today, March 14, 2015. And guess what? The Ohio River, since we live in Ohio, has been at the top, most polluted river in the country for at least 7 years in a row. So, hey, proud to be from Ohio. And then this last one, power plant coal ash is not hazardous waste, says the US EPA. So I just want you guys to leave realizing that the EPA, I wouldn't put all your eggs in the EPA basket to save you. Thank you. One last thing I forgot to say. You have the power, and you need to contact Kathy Jones if you live in Medina, because this county charter she's proposing, it's about the rights. The people have the right to protect themselves and make laws for themselves. Okay?
Good evening. My name is Dick McGinn. I come from Athens County. We don't have compressor stations yet. We don't have pipelines yet in Athens. Our concern is these injection wells. We already are becoming the #1 repository of toxic waste from these operations, fracking operations in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and northern Ohio. I came here tonight thinking perhaps if we talk to EPA, we could get some advice on how to protect our environment when these pipelines start coming down our way. And I must say that I'm very disappointed in what I've heard. I believe that this hearing is pretty much of a sham. I can tell you that I lived for 7 years in Southeast Asia under 2 dictators, Ferdinand Marcos in the Philippines in the 60s and General Suharto in Indonesia in the 70s. And I can tell you that half the people tonight who spoke would have been arrested for what they said because they did not show the proper respect for the government and they did not show the proper respect for the EPA that was holding this hearing. What we have tonight is another technique. We don't live in a dictatorship. We live in a democracy. It's a kind of a democracy where if the people don't stand up, they are going to be put down. And what we're seeing tonight is a performance by the EPA, which has given up its authority since 2004 to the Ohio Division of Natural Resources for all regulation having to do with oil and gas. So when you ask them about the compressor station and about the pipeline, they say we don't have anything to do with that. That's the ODNR's responsibility. Our responsibility is, what is it now? The questions tonight, oh, we don't do safety. We're not dealing with that part of it. We don't evaluate explosions when they show up, and also we don't evaluate the water. What we do is decide what tune to play on the fiddle after the thing starts to burn. In other words, after they build the compressor station, then they're going to start monitoring the stuff. It's already too late. I can tell you that this is a technique that is used by international corporations and governments to oppress people, to make them conform, to make them compliant, to make them think that they live in a democracy, to make them think that this hearing is a serious exchange of ideas. And this is a much more subtle way of handling people, troublesome people, than the dictatorship, which puts people in jail when they speak up. It simply manages them. And what I'm urging you to do tonight, to help us also in Athens, because this is a community movement that's moving across the country, to stand up as citizens. This is America. This is our country. We do not have to put up with this, but we have to fight back. And the way to do that is to get behind Kathy Jones and the Medina Bill of Rights group and stand up for your rights, because if you don't do that, you will lose your democracy. And so this is our fight. And you gentlemen are good folks. It's nothing personal. I know you have families. I know you have careers. There's everybody doing his job, but the system is set up in such a way that we are all being managed, and it's time to stand up and say, no, we don't want these activities in our neighborhood, we don't want them in our communities, and we are living in a democracy and we can do something about it. Thank you.